Do you get frustrated paying so many fees on your credit card processing? As a dentist, as a business owner, as someone who takes payments from patients, I'm here with Stephen from Nada Payments, an awesome key resource and sponsor who's going to share with us a friendly way to decrease your credit card processing fees. This is a Nacho slogan, Stephen, a very spicy topic out there in Nacho world. So we're thrilled to have you. Would you just introduce yourself to your audience? Tell us your name, who you're working with, and a little bit about what you do.
Hey guys, so my name is Steven and I'm a VP in growth with Nada Payments. We are a fintech solution that provides the ability for businesses and dental practices to eliminate the cost of accepting credit cards and paying those hefty percentages that their merchant processor usually charges them. We also provide a solution that modifies and modernizes the dental practice in terms of how they collect their current payments and their payment infrastructure.
Awesome. So you not only you save dental practices money, you also make it easy for them with resources to collect money. So we're going to dig into this topic, but let's pretend for a minute. Let's go outside of dentistry for a second, Stephen. Nothing to do with teeth. I have noticed as a 45-year-old male who's been using credit cards and paying for stuff for many years that there are surcharges, 3%, 4%. I go get pizza. If I pay with a credit card, it costs more. I sign my daughter up for camp. When did this kind of start in the world?
So I'm glad you. So the first businesses that started this were actually gas stations. If you notice, when you
Yeah.
fill up your car, you have the credit debit price. At back in 2013, they were the only businesses that were allowed to do that, and a few merchants from New York City actually got upset at that, and they wanted the ability to charge different fees and different amounts for different forms of payment. Prior to this, Visa, MasterCard did not allow this. So there was a huge lawsuit. It went up all the way to the Supreme Court, and the merchants won the lawsuit. And now you're able to actually charge whatever price you want for a different type of payment. So that's when it kind of started growing, but it didn't really take a snowball effect until about 2018, where a lot of restaurants, especially during COVID and the hard times, they started implementing this, and then it trickled down to every business just passing on the fee. But the mistake that they were making is that they were passing on the fee to debit cards, and they called it a cash discount program. That's when you're going to get the most pushback. That's when your patients, your business clients, your customers are going to say, look, I don't have cash on me. I don't want to carry the dirty cash. I have my debit card on me. Why are you charging me a fee on the debit card? I'm not getting any rewards. I'm not getting any miles. Why am I paying a fee? So that's why we came out with the not a payment solution, where we give your patients a choice, and it's their decision of how they want to make the payment. They could either use a credit card or a debit card. With a credit card, they'll pay a fee that's already automatically implemented, or they can use a debit card and get the discount.
I like this. Let's just do this. I like visuals. So this is my credit card. So when I pay with this, the person who's receiving the payment usually pays something like a 2 to 3% cost, 2 to
Yeah,
3.5% cost. This happens to be the American Express. They tend to be higher. Is that right?
absolutely, especially the platinum one. And let me tell you, that's the exact card that I use in any business that doesn't charge me a fee, because I get the best rewards for it. So also, when I use the Amex Platinum card, um, the business will pass on the fee, or if they don't pass on the fee, I'll use it. But if I go to a business that says, hey, I'm going to charge you 3.5% if you use that Amex, if you use your debit card, I won't charge you. Guess what? I'll pull out my debit card and I'll use my debit card.
My team's always worried I'm giving my info out, so I'll cover a couple numbers. But this is my debit card. So if I took this out in the Nada Payments world at a dental office, there would be no surcharge. Am I
There
following?
will be no surcharge to the patient, and the dental practice would only pay 1% for that transaction, which is still significantly lower than what their typical average rate is today.
So this would be no charge to the patient, 1%. So just if an office collects $1 million and they switched from this to this, they're going to save $20,000 a year just by doing that, right?
At least.
$20,000 a year for doing absolutely nothing, just switching from credit card to debit card. So I'm just kind of teaching our audience as go along. So now we're going to go into the dental space, and we have a lot of new practice owners in our world. Stephen, it's very exhausting to run a practice. It's like running a dental circus where the animals try to annoy you to death many times. And you're doing all these different things, and you might not be paying attention to credit card processing fees. So if they took over a practice and they just say, oh, use what the other dentist has, or they don't pay attention, even if I'm being redundant, I'm reinforcing. what are they paying when their patient uses a credit card? Discover, American Express, MasterCard, Visa, a non-debit card, a non-check, non-cash. How much is that costing that dental practice owner?
Average it's about 3% specifically if they're just accepting credit cards. But you have to remember in that specific office, when they do accept a debit card, they're paying a credit rate on it because most offices today don't have an actual PIN pad where the patient enters their actual PIN. So the merchant company is actually marking up the debit rate quite high, and that's why their average rate is between 2.5 and 3.5%, depending on how many debit cards they actually have going through the office on a traditional processing. So if we average it out, it's around 3% total.
Awesome. So I'm glad you're really sharing this. Now, question dentist ask on dental nachos. For some reason, this is so spicy, Stephen, right? They get very, very angry. You can tell, but they go, just raise all of your fees. Just raise them all. Why is that maybe not a great idea?
Well, you want to take care of your patients, right? And if you're raising your fees across the board, that means you're not only raising it for credit cards, you're also raising it for cash, check, and debit cards. And that's, not fair. This way, you're implementing the increase only for credit cards and you're keeping the debit, cash, and check price the same as it was prior. So you're actually doing a favor to your patients by saying, look, I'm not going to raise everything across the board. I'll only do it for credit cards and I'll make it fair for me and you.
I love that. And we talk about this, Stephen, I have this here. This represents what it feels like to be a dentist and cry inside. Patients don't like you. So I want to share, if you pay $27,000 a year in credit card fees and you're able to save that in a decade, Stephen, you've saved $270,000. So some of these decisions, just like they talk about the law of compounding interest, have an amazing impact year after year in your practice. And that's why I'm really glad to be talking about this. So that's why not raise all of your fees. Let's just go back to the do's and don'ts of the what you say across the counter. So maybe I'll just be the patient. I come up, I have a $5,000 cost. Maybe this is my office. I'm going to explore using this in my office. I know. So right now, if you come up in our office, you can pay with cash, check, or credit card, $5,000. And we're glad when people pay with check. We're glad when they pay with debit card and credit card. We just eat the fee. Maybe we're getting fat on credit card fees, right? So tell me what we can do with NADA payments. What would that conversation be? You be the office manager, I be the patient.
Yep. So let's say the job is, let's say $10,000, and I know the patient is getting quoted that. At the time of quoting, so we train your staff on how to approach this with your patients. So let's assume that the patient was quoted in the treatment plan before they're even starting the treatment. What we do is we provide wireless terminals that our managers and people who are giving those treatment plans have in their hand. And what they'll do is they'll enter the base amount, which is 10,000, to the terminal, and the terminal is going to give them the total amount with the surcharge. And they'll say the following. They'll say, look, your total for this treatment is going to be $10,350. But if you use check, cash, or debit, we'll make it 10,000 even. How would you like to pay? This will eliminate any type of pushback, any questions about why is there a fee? Why am I paying this fee? But at the same time, we also have offices that know that their patients come in for the quality of work. And they just say, look, if you're paying with a credit card, we're charging a 3.5% surcharge, which is posted on signage that we provide. And it's also posted on any footer of any treatment plan that you print out for the patient. So it really depends on how you want to approach this with your patients. We work with you on both ways, and we train your staff as well on how to approach it.
I think it's an awesome system. I mean, you have normalized something that was used to be abnormal. When I was a kid and went out to eat with my grandmother, dessert was included in the meal. I always thought, am I going to get pudding? It was a big part of my childhood. Huge fan of pudding. Now, dessert's rarely included in the meal. It's an a la carte price. So now, whether it's my daughter's camps, even I have an awesome team member who, for her child's daycare, she brings a check every week just to avoid the credit card processing fee. And what I think is, I had a great management coach, Stephen, said people don't argue with their own decisions. You say to your child, you want M&Ms or Reese's Pieces, they got to pick one. When you say to your patients, how would you like to pay? You're giving them all the power, because just to reiterate, check, no fee, cash, no fee, debit card, only 1%, and credit card, they pay.
I'm sorry, Paul. So the debit card, the patient doesn't pay.
Okay, so even better. So even if
patient pays 1%.
Right. So the practice even wants to, they're going to still benefit in comparison to using this American Express card. So I mean, what dentists like is examples. We say stuff to patients like, hey, Stephen, you're my patient. I'm going to do an implant on you. It's going to help you chew and smile. And you go, Does anybody else like implants? Who else have you done this on? Show me somebody else. So dentists love success stories. You don't have to use names, but what kind of impact have you had on some of your clients? They said, man, I'm so glad I used Nada Payments. Now I'm saving $17,000 a year. Tell us one of those success stories.
So our biggest success story in terms of savings, we have two types of success stories, right? The savings is a big one because they're putting back more revenue into the business. We had a location, a practice that had 8 locations. They did over $3 million a year in business, and we're able to save them a substantial amount, not on
Yeah.
an annual but on a monthly basis as well. In terms of what else we've been able to do for practices is we're actually able to modernize the way they accept payments. In today's day, almost maybe I would say 60% of offices just have a standalone terminal that prints the receipt paper, and they have to take that paper, put into the chart. And it's a very old school program. What we do is we digitize everything for you. We give you the terminal. It's connected to an online gateway that gives you a lot of features that you're able to implement, such as cards on file, uh, billing invoices via email, creating payment links on your website, collecting or making recurring or installment plans from credit cards for patients that you want to break down big balances for. And this makes your management team's lives easier because now they don't have to look at the calendar every day and see who they have to charge. They don't have to write down the credit card numbers in the little notebook and know that on the first of the month they have to open it, charge it, and not be PCI compliant. So we're able to implement those solutions as well, aside from all the savings. But the biggest success is we had an office that was saving about, I would say, about $12,000 a month in
Wow.
fees. That's just one product. That's a lot of money. For a smaller office that has, let's say, $300 in fees monthly. Yeah, the savings don't matter because what are they going to save? 80% of that? Okay,
Yeah.
but what they'll get is the benefit of modernizing their infrastructure of payment collections.
Yeah, just call it frictionless payment. So I love that you not only save offices money, you give dentists a chance to get back. It's not easy to be profitable as a dentist. So there's ways to be more profitable. And then also streamline the payment system. People can text NADA to 215-543-6454 to learn more. You can reach out to us at dentalnachos.com. When someone reaches out to you, Stephen, as your what happens? Do they get on a demo? Do you talk to them on the phone? When they go to your landing page for Dental Nachos, which my team is dropping in the comments, or they text NADA to 215-543-6454, what happens?
So what happens initially, we make contact, we kind of establish their situation, and then we provide a demo for them, right? We show them our solution, how it can be implemented, and then we take it from there on actually implementing the solution for them.
I love that. And you're not just sponsor, so I'd like to give you guys just tell dentists we're not a payments and we help you cry less on the inside. Thanks so much for being with us, Stephen.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you.